Wife who forced me into an open marriage can't believe I'd divorce her after she got pregnant. I was married for 2 years at the time, and my wife was absolutely hooked on TikTok. She'd send me at least 20 videos a day, usually funny clips or interesting challenges. We were both in our early 20s and enjoyed sharing that kind of content with each other. Eventually, though, she started sending me videos and podcasts that focused on open marriages. They talked about how some couples thrive when they're not tied down to one partner and how they find it liberating. We had several long talks where she explained her point of view and how she thought it could be a great way for us to explore before we settled down with kids and got too old to experiment. I wasn't totally convinced at first, but she kept gently nudging me toward the idea over the next few months. She'd bring it up casually after watching a podcast episode or share another video with me that she thought made good points about being young and having fun. Finally, after a lot of persuasion, I agreed to give it a shot. However, I wanted to make sure we set some clear boundaries, so we had a serious conversation about the rules. First, we decided that any intimacy with others must be protected, no exceptions. We didn't want to risk our health or anything else. Second, we agreed that nothing would happen in our house and there would be no overnight stays with anyone else. Our home was supposed to remain a safe space just for us. Lastly, if either of us slept with someone else, we wouldn't share the details, and we'd take a 30-day break from touching each other. We also promised to see a doctor and get a clean bill of health before getting intimate again. With those ground rules in place, we officially opened up our marriage. Soon, my wife began scheduling dates for herself on Friday nights, which was convenient since I worked late anyway. I usually got home around 10 p.m., and she'd either be home already or walk through the door just as I arrived. She'd tell me about her date, where they went, what they ate, and if they had any interesting conversations. Then, she'd turn her attention to me, and we'd spend the rest of the evening together. These were just dates with other people, though. No intimacy involved. In a way, it seemed like the setup was working out. Meanwhile, I decided to give it a try too. During that first year, I went on 3 dates myself, but each one followed a similar pattern. At first, things seemed to go well, and we'd chat about various topics like our jobs, favorite movies, and hobbies. However, once they found out that I was married, their attitudes changed completely. They'd politely say that being involved with a married man wasn't what they were looking for, and that was that. While it was nice to meet them, it became clear that my situation was a deal breaker. After my third date, I decided to quit the whole dating scene altogether. It didn't seem worth the effort if everyone would just walk away after learning the truth. Throughout that first year, the open marriage seemed to be working for my wife, but for me it felt more like an experiment that hadn't quite gone as planned. Although my dates didn't lead anywhere, I was just glad that she was happy and that we'd managed to maintain our relationship. But deep down, I couldn't help but wonder how long this arrangement would actually last, and whether it would ultimately bring us closer or drive us further apart. After about a year of opening up our marriage, things started to change. One Friday night, she didn't come home until around 3 a.m., and when she finally walked in, she joked that she was too sore and tired for anything. I noticed some hickeys on her chest and thighs, and I felt hurt and upset. On Monday or Tuesday, I'm not exactly sure which day, she tried to get intimate with me, but I reminded her of our third rule: no touching each other for 30 days and a doctor's visit after being with someone else. She looked at me and asked, "Are you serious?" I replied, "Yes, deadly serious." This pattern became our new normal. She'd go out with her bad boy on Friday nights, have her fun, and then spend the rest of the week trying to convince me to change the third rule. But to me, it felt like she'd put me on the shelf, only coming back to me when she needed something. I began avoiding her, working more, staying out of the house, or even just walking around the neighborhood for some peace and quiet. I also started exercising and became much more physically active, eventually losing some weight. She was so wrapped up in the excitement of her new relationship that she didn't notice and assumed I was just out doing my own thing. After 5 months of this routine, I couldn't see any reason to stay in the marriage anymore. I realized I was selling my own happiness just so she could be happy, and I was running out of things to give. Up until this point, she hadn't technically broken any of our boundaries, but whenever I suggested she step back from seeing him, she said I was overreacting and blowing things out of proportion. To her, it was just some harmless fun, one night a week. When our 4th wedding anniversary rolled around, I took the day off work, cleaned the house, and made her a nice dinner to celebrate. But when she got home from work around 4, she hopped in the shower, dressed up, and told me she was heading out to a bar to see a local band, and that I shouldn't wait up. I was left alone with the dinner I'd made, feeling like my marriage was slipping away. She had completely forgotten about our anniversary, and it left me devastated. The next morning, I woke up at 9 a.m. to find she still hadn't come home. She had broken boundary number 2, no sleeping over. I sent her a simple text. You have broken our boundary of no sleeping over. I am done. By 11:30 a.m., she started calling me, saying she had just closed her eyes for a second and accidentally fell asleep. I'm so sorry, she said. It will never happen again. My refusal to even discuss it seemed to snap her out of her fog. Later, she showed up at my workplace just before opening hours, causing a scene in front of my entire team and the owners. I managed to calm her down and she eventually left. I promised we'd talk on Sunday. When I got home that Saturday night, she tried to be intimate with me again, but I reminded her of rule number 3. She then told me she wouldn't be seeing the other guy anymore and wanted to close our marriage so we could reconnect. She explained that when she woke up and read my text, he made fun of her, which made her realize how much of a jerk he was. She said she freaked out and decided she wanted to be with me instead. Over the next few days, she tried every single day to be intimate with me, but it didn't work. I had no desire to be with her, and she felt like nothing more than a roommate to me. Eventually, the 30-day period passed, and she went to the doctor to get checked out. She was clear of any diseases, but she was pregnant. She came home excited, with a big smile, and told me, "We're pregnant." I didn't know what to say. I was stunned and confused. Her excitement seemed so out of touch with what had been happening between us, and I couldn't help but wonder where her mind was. I looked at her and said, "Good. I hope you two will be happy together." She stood there confused for a few moments before starting to cry. A few days later, she texted the guy to tell him about the pregnancy, and his response was, "Wow, sucks to be you. You might want to pass it off as your husband's. Laters." Soon after that, I filed for divorce. She started doing anything and everything she could to change my mind. She promised the moon, begged, and pleaded for another chance to fix our relationship. I remained polite but firm, not interested in reconsidering. Unfortunately, I was stuck living with her for a while because our lease hadn't ended yet. We developed a new pattern. She would try to be intimate with me, I would refuse, and she would get upset. I'd then head out for a run to clear my head. My resentment toward her grew day by day, just like her baby bump. About 3 weeks ago, she came into my room to talk, bringing pizza for dinner. She started by talking about how being pregnant had made her extra horny, and then she tried once more to sleep with me. By then, my patience had worn thin, and I told her bluntly, "Sorry, I'm not into fat chicks. Maybe hit Tinder. Someone on there will be down for it." She left my room crying. We had our first divorce hearing, where the judge ordered us to undergo 6 weeks of marriage counseling. Our first session was a kind of meet and greet, where we were interviewed separately to share our sides of the story. I wasn't entirely sure what they hoped to accomplish, given how far things had gone downhill, but I felt like we had to go through the motions, at least for the sake of making things official. I just wanted the whole thing to be over so we could move on with our lives. Last Sunday was my birthday, and the Friday before, she asked if I would spend my birthday with her to celebrate. I politely declined, but she kept pushing the subject until I finally snapped. I told her I wasn't wasting special occasions on her anymore, not after she went out on our 4th anniversary and got pregnant with some random guy. I left her crying in the kitchen and went to work, saying I'd see her on Monday for our court-ordered counseling session. Monday morning rolled around, but she never showed up. I tried calling her, her friends, and her parents, but no one had heard from her. Finally, I learned she'd been arrested on Sunday morning for driving without insurance and reckless endangerment. Her parents were on their way to help her. I offered our house for them to stay at while I crashed on a friend's couch. My lawyer spoke to the judge and was able to expedite the process, so my divorce was finalized this past Friday. Yesterday, I helped her parents pack up some of her stuff, and today, I'm going to help them load a U-Haul they rented. She's getting out of jail tomorrow, and they plan to take her back home with them. She wants to see me, but I feel like it would just make things worse for both of us. We need to move on with our lives. The divorce is finalized, and it's time to put this chapter behind us. Now for the top of comments before reading the update. Do not sign birth certificate and ask your lawyer as to how to get out of not paying child support. You need to show DNA tests to show that you are not the father, and do not proclaim the kid as your own. Otherwise, courts might compel you to pay child support. Please check with your lawyer regarding kids born with another father during marriage. Lawyer said, "I am free and clear. Just super emotional today. Been crying? Not sure for what. Just crying is good. Cleansing. All those emotions. Getting all that negativity out of your system. You're in a liminal space right now, and that can be emotional and uncomfortable. You're closing up this chapter, so you can move on to the next uncomfortable is right for sure. Dealing with my former father and mother-in-law, getting her stuff packed up and in a Yuvon. Now for the updates. Update 1. My divorce was finalized a week and a day ago. Since then, I've been replaying every moment in my head, and I feel guilty for making it out the other side relatively intact, and in some ways, even better off. Meanwhile, she's still stuck in that mess, not moving on or letting go. I had to change my phone number, delete my Facebook, and stop answering calls. The only silver lining is that she's now an 8-hour drive away at her parents', so she can't just show up at my door. However, she's still finding ways to reach out, using her friends as proxies to get messages to me. I thought that once the divorce was finalized, I'd be able to start fresh and move forward with my life. But it's not that simple. She's still holding on, and it's affecting me more than I anticipated. I guess I was naive to think that a clean break would mean a fresh start without complications. Final update. Last Thursday, I took a call from my ex-wife. We hadn't spoken since our divorce was finalized, so this was the first contact we'd had in a while. We ended up talking for about 45 minutes. She had spent some time reflecting and wanted to apologize for specific things she had done in those 5 months when she put me on a shelf, as well as during the 6 months she spent trying to stop me from divorcing her. She said she needed closure and hoped that one day I would forgive her and no longer hate her. I told her that I had forgiven her and that I wanted her to have a good life, to forget all about me and to move forward. She promised to respect my no-contact rule, and I believe she will. As for me, I'm moving on with my life too. I'm even working on rebuilding my relationship with my parents, whom I haven't spoken to in 7 years. It feels good to be taking steps toward a healthier future. Story 2. Has anyone else ever learned disturbing things about their ex? Only after divorce or separation? We were married nearly 4 years together for 5.5. He could be funny, loving, and sweet, and we weathered so many life-altering and challenging experiences together. But he also routinely subjected me to verbal and emotional abuse with a small taste of the physical. I felt as though I served as his mother, therapist, bank, and screwdoll at the same time. The tension had been building for a long time, but there came a day where I could no longer tolerate his criticism, tantrums, invasions of my privacy, and generally walking on eggshells. I initiated the separation without ever looking back. We are still not formally divorced because he is trying to sue me for more money in the settlement. Since then, I've been lucky enough to find an incredible new partner who has only ever shown enormous regard and respect for me. I have healed tremendously from the trauma of my marriage. Recently, however, in a bizarre twist of fate, I connected with my ex, his girlfriend, before me. He was also with them for 5 years. We compare and contrasted our experiences with him, and it was unnerving to see how similarly he would treat us. How he adjusted his behavior to manipulate me more effectively, and most of all, to find out the lies he told me about her lies that were concocted and backed up by his immediate family. Perhaps in a bid to discredit her should she ever reach out to me and therefore continue enabling his abuse. On top of this, my ex's former girlfriend, whom my ex lent me to believe was still romantically pursuing him despite knowing about me, revealed to me that his contact with her was one-sided and that she would only reply nicely and politely because he had threatened to expose her nude. I knew my ex was capable of threatening and harassing behavior because he had previously threatened to get me fired from my job and tried to lie that I had committed horrible assault, but I would never have guessed he would stoop this low. My heart breaks for her, and I regret all the years I novelly believed the false and incoherent portrait of her he had drawn. The most disturbing things of all are these: one, during their relationship, she had come across his collection of depraved pornography, including snuff scenes where a girl was having her head smashed in. My ex had told me about this incident, but portrayed it as her being prudish and close-minded about porn. I knew that he was into degrading scenes, but the degree of violence in these videos that was described to me are shocking too. After they broke up not long before or after he threatened to expose her nudes, my ex, his former girlfriend, discovered an extensive collection of photographs that my ex stored online, prominently featuring barely legal or underage-looking Asian girls, including a photo of an actual child. I saw the receipts with my own eyes. For context, we, as in my ex's former girlfriend and myself, are Asian women who look considerably younger than we actually are, mid-30s, and both have very thin and potato physiques. As of right now, my ex has begun dating a 20-year-old Asian college girl who fits the exact same profile. He is nearly 40. I have distanced myself emotionally from my ex enough to not feel betrayed and blindsided if I heard it all. It's at the thought that my in-laws, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, who I loved, trusted, and considered my own family, knew about his abusive tendencies from the start, and may have actively concealed them from me despite appearing supportive and on my side on the surface. It is a lot to process. I'm glad to have found out the truth and grateful to my new friend for finally showing me the light, even if it meant revisiting very traumatic memories she had long blocked out, but is pretty devastating to consider. The fact that I shared the same bed with and readily offer my body to someone this awful for years and would never have guessed, even if I knew he was abusive. Had she not reached out to me, I would have been ignorant forever. Has anyone else been in this scenario? If so, what did you learn and how did you react? Now for the advices. Wow. Our stories are almost identical. My ex was very similar to yours. Verbal and emotionally abusive. He would chase me in an aggressive manner, which he knew I hated from trauma of my older brother beating me up as a teenager, until I fall once he did it when I was pregnant with our second born. I walked on eggshells too. He didn't want to do anything with me. He wanted me at work, cook clean, given screw and blowjobs whenever he wanted, and throw guys' night parties for his friends. He never went anywhere with me. We never took vacations unless my parents paid for it. He was just an all-around narcissistic asshole. During discovery, I found out he was committing tax fraud for 5 years. He was depositing the tax refund into his personal account, as well as collecting my stimulus checks. He claimed mine got lost and that we were getting audited, so we never received a tax refund in 5 years. He used the money we got for our wedding, a little more than 15K 10 call it, from my friends and family, since my parents were the one that paid for the wedding, to buy himself a sports car. He used the rest of the wedding gift money to open a joint bank account that I had no access to. I was very naive on this part. He took me to the bank, had me write my signature on all the checks addressed to me, and told me we were depositing it into our new joint bank account. It was never joint. I never had access. When I'd ask him when my card from the bank would come in the mail, he would say he's working on it, or there's an issue. There's a fault with the bank. I took his word for it. Yes, I was an idiot. That the only reason he isn't signing his parental rights away is because his dad would cut him out of the will. He isn't cut out to be a father. He doesn't want this life. Kids are expensive. He just wants to smoke weed and play video games while he manages his dad's bakery business from home. He also told me about a fantasy he has of me dressing up as Pocahontas. I'm South Asian. He's white. I braid my hair into pigtails and he yanks and pulls on my hair while I give him a blowjob. I had no words except what the screw. He said he sees himself as John Smith, an evil testicle maniac. His last girlfriend was with him 5 years. She was also Asian. He got her a visa from overseas. He said she was crazy. But now I realize he is crazy. His friends and family have convinced him that our second-born is not his son, and the reason I left him is no fault of his own. But because I found another man when he found out his son was in fact his, and I wasn't with anyone else. Since I was too busy being a slave wife, he has been having me to get remarried and have things go back to the perfect way they were. Story 3. I'm happy my ex broke up with me, so me and my ex-boyfriend have been together for almost 2 years, and we recently broke up with me because after the year we've been together, we both become unhappy. Me more so than him. He would never call me, never text me, never want to see me, never buy my gifts, never post me, never being there when I need him, and never go all out like I would. I have done a lot of things for this man, but he never reciprocated it. I felt I was alone in the relationship and just there for the comfort he was giving me. When finally he said he wants to leave after seeing me, texting as one of his female friends, how he treats me and how awful he makes me feel. He told me that I can living with my life and do whatever I need to do, and that we can still be friends because he still has love and care for me. And when the breakup happened, I felt nothing. I thought when you break up with someone, it's supposed to hurt. But I didn't feel that way. I had no tears to cry when he said those words. To be honest, I think it was because after the almost 2 years we've been together, after all the tears and pain I felt for being in that relationship, I realized that he was never good to begin with. I'm sad that I'm losing a friend that I had for a really long time, but I'm not sad about how things are. I've been in a relationship by myself for so long, and I'm actually kind of glad it's over. I'm glad I'm not trapped into being in something that hurts me every time I lay in bed. I'm actually happy I haven't cried once about it, but I did think about it and get sad over good times. But then I think about all the bad he's done to me, and then I don't get sad anymore. And he tells me he's been unhappy for so long, and I ask him, why did you continue if you knew you've been unhappy? He didn't answer me. I can tell you why I continued in the relationship. He gave me comfort. He gave me someone I can trust with everything. That's what he gave me. But now that it's over, yes, I can always find someone else. But I've never been the type of person to get male's attention. But he gets female's attention left and right. And when you really think about it, it was never mine to begin with. No, he didn't cheat on me and never cheated on me because as soon as we broke up, He's posting a girl made me think about the times I would beg in the post me and beg him to do things. It made me realize he never loved me, and he never cared about me because if he did, he wouldn't have lost me. All I needed was reassurance, a phone call or text every day, or even a post or something. But I got none of it. Me writing this now made me realize that he's done absolutely nothing from trying to mend this relationship. And what's crazy about it is that his entire family feels bad about it and leaving me, telling me that they love me and don't want me to leave. And they really cared about me. It's like water getting splashed in my face after seeing him post that girl. I finally blocked him on everything, and I feel glad I did. He's a shitty person and an even worse boyfriend. I honestly feel bad for anyone he's not going to be in a relationship with. But he wasn't always bad, however, because in the beginning of the relationship, he would call me and text me every day. He wouldn't post me or do anything crazy like that, but at least he would call or text me. And that's all I needed, just that I was content in that. And that beginning of the relationship is what made me stay with him. But in every relationship, they both have to show care and love. But I was the only one to do that. And after fighting to be in something that is only one-sided, I realized that he never made me happy and hasn't in a long time. But I'm done making excuses for him. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm finished. He can take all the bullshit he told me and shove it because I'm happy I'm free, freed from begging and pleading with someone who doesn't want to do the same. I was tired for so long, and after trying to fix something that was always breaking, I'm happy I don't have to fix it anymore. I'm actually happy. I'm not sad anymore. I don't have to cry anymore. I don't have to feel pain anymore. I don't have to look at him and hope for him to change because I'm finally free. I'm happy. Story 4. Am I the a-hole for hurting my friend's feelings at her engagement party? I never wanted kids. My husband too. But life happened, and now we care for my 2 little nephews, 5-year-old twins. It was an easy decision for the both of us. I'm not saying I regret anything, but it's not easy, especially with little kids that are traumatized. Many of our friends, many who are child-free, have been great. They're especially understanding to the fact that though we didn't give birth to them, we are now parents, and the kids are our first priority. They also understand that we can't hire babysitters or ask anyone else to watch the kids due to several reasons. We had to skip one wedding, and another couple allowed us to bring the boys to their originally child-free wedding. Both couples were happy, and there are no hard feelings between us. Now another friend is getting married, and she knows what's up as well. When we declined our invitation to her engagement party, that would just be adults due to alcohol and other kinds of adult activities. She called me and begged me out to come. I said I'd try my best. My husband and I decided that he would watch the kids on his own while I went. While I was getting ready, the boys were watching me. And they started to cry because they realized I was going out. This caused me to be late. I apologized to her, and while she said it was okay, I could tell she was slightly hurt. Regardless, I tried to have a good time with her and other friends. I didn't drink any alcohol, but she kept trying to make me. Then my husband texted me a couple hours in saying that one nephew was refusing to eat and the other is screaming. I stepped outside for 10 minutes to call them, and when the boys calmed down enough, I went back in. At this point, my friend looked angry. I had apparently missed the speech, she said. I ruined the entire night by stressing her out with my attitude. She even accused me of thinking that was better than her because I'm a parent now and she isn't. I told her that isn't true, and I didn't mean to ruin her night, but I'm sorry. She told me to screw off and said something like, "It's a few hours. Those kids don't have to be on your mind all the time." And I was just going to leave when I felt so insulted. I told her that she can't put her night being ruined on me. And I'm sorry she had a terrible night because I didn't drink and because I refused to forget about my kids for a couple hours. But her feeling hurt is not my responsibility, and she can figure it out herself. She started crying, and her friends kindly told me to just leave while they all understand my position. They think I should apologize because it's her party or wedding, and I didn't hurt her after all. I haven't been thinking about this much, but I have some free time and I just got a text from said friend telling me that I'm uninvited from her actual wedding. Am I the a-hole? Now for the advices, not the a-hole. You say your friends understand even her, but they clearly don't, especially her. Someone being late to a party is not a reason for the host to be upset. Someone not drinking at a party is not a reason for the host to be upset. Someone stepping out for a few minutes is not a reason for the host to be upset. Every friend that thinks you ruined her party and hurt her doesn't get it. They are the assholes. You will, none of them, an apology. But you need to ask yourself if they still deserve a space in your life. That type of negativity is never needed, especially in your situation. True this, but I have always been mystified by people getting upset because someone at a party is not drinking alcohol. I have seen parties get ruined by drunks, but never by people being sober. The fact that she kept trying to make Opie drink too. That's all for today. If you are enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you.